Hi, this is Barry here. So, how does a content writer come up with ideas for new content? Now, I know what this is like. I know what it's like to sit in front of a laptop, have a blank screen, and you don't know what to talk about. So, if this is where you are right now, I'm going to give you a couple of tips and tricks you can try out. Now, the first thing I would say to you is before you create any more new content, have a look at your old content, because sometimes your old content can be a great starting point. Now, you will find sometimes that maybe a blog post you wrote 6 months ago, a year ago, or maybe some video or something that you created, a couple of months back isn't relevant anymore. Maybe you mentioned all those things that happened in 2022, but again, we're in 2023. So are there maybe some, websites that don't exist anymore, maybe some software that doesn't exist anymore, or maybe some tips and tricks that are just totally useless? So what you could do is go back to that old piece of content, freshen it up for 2023. Again, maybe mention things like how AI maybe could be changing your business, or maybe new websites that have come online that people should need to know about, or maybe new tips and tricks that work right now that didn't work 6 months ago. So keeping fresh content, relevant to what's happening now at the moment is a great way of coming up with content ideas. And again, just using your old content as a springboard, because it's easier to work with a piece than actually stare at a blank page and wonder, what the hell should I talk about? Again, your old content, if you have maybe blog posts, articles, or videos that are kind of the format of 5 tips, 10 tricks, 25 ways to do this. Sometimes you can take one of those blog articles or those posts and you can actually break them down into individual pieces. So suddenly you have an article that was speaking about 5 ways to lose weight. Suddenly that becomes 5 articles on how to lose weight. And basically what you would do is you would take one of those tips or tricks and then you would expand on it. You would give it its own blog post or its own video or its own whatever. But you're expanding on it and you're actually going into more depth. Sometimes it's helpful to read those kind of tips and tricks, but sometimes, after we read them, we don't know, well, how can I put that trick into my life? How can I make sure I buy the right ingredients for my weight loss or whatever it is? And sometimes just taking one of those tips, expanding it out, will help your readers far more. So again, go back to your old content, have a look at it with fresh eyes. Is there any way you can break it down? Is there any way you can take some of those pieces of content out and expand on it? Now, once you've done all that, which it should give you plenty of ideas for new content, have a look at other people's content next. Now, sometimes when you don't know what to talk about or write, sometimes it's helpful maybe to listen to a podcast, read a book, read a blog, and kind of have a look at someone else's content. What are they actually talking about in your niche? Now, sometimes you don't even need to kind of read blogs in your own niche. Sometimes you'll read maybe something that is on a blog that is completely different than yours, that will kind of fire up your brain cells and give you an idea of how can you maybe use this thing from a weight loss blog into maybe this kind of, maybe you have a blog maybe on dog grooming or something like that. Maybe you could take some of the ideas from that was mentioned on the dog and the weight loss blog and then convert it into something that could be useful maybe on your blog. Now, that probably just sounds a little bit weird, but you can sometimes find a great idea of a tip or trick or something that you can actually use it. And again, to have a look at the format of maybe the headlines in the articles and blog posts. Maybe sometimes getting a great headline could fire you up and you'd know how you can actually create your own article based on that headline. Again, too, when you're creating content with other people's information and content, have a look and see what kind of fires you up, what inspires you, what angers you. Sometimes you can read something that somebody else has mentioned and it inspired you, it motivated you, and then you can actually go back and mention to your own audience and mention, give full credit to that person, mention how it fired you up or made a difference in your life. Again, maybe you find maybe a blog post that really angers you because the person's telling the wrong information or they've left something out. And sometimes getting pissed off or, trying to right or wrong or, trying to fix something. If we're fired up about it, some of your easiest content will be content that you're kind of, angry about or frustrated about or just want to get something off your chest. You will find that the keys on the keyboard can't keep up fast enough with you because you're just churning out the content. You're just getting your anger out on the page or your frustration or whatever it is. So have a look at other people's content and how it kind of, does things to you like that. So those are the 2 kind of main ways I'd have a look at it. Again, before you start making any more content, have a look at your old content, see if you can reuse it, repackage it, break it down, expand on it, and make it better than it was. And again, have a look at other people's content. Have a look at their article titles. Have a look at the things they are talking about. Have a look at maybe can you take maybe this piece of content from this blog that isn't relevant to yours at all, and how can you rework it, rewrite it to make it relevant to yours. And again, have a look at content that really angers you, annoys you, frustrates you, or that is something that people need to be aware of. And as I said, those are the easiest piece of content you created, because you're angry, your emotions are high, and you will find that the keyboard can't keep up with you because you'll be typing that fast. Have a lovely day. Bye bye.